I want to tell you now, related to whatever deliverance God is going to give you for that thing that will not go away, that until you adopt, we adopt radical obedience. That's obedience to the end, even to the point of rejecting our own perspective or that of our friends. You'll not see God. You'll talk about him. You'll sing songs to him. You'll worship him, but you won't see him. You won't see this power that the Bible talks about, this victory that the Bible talks about, because God's got to see faith, and faith is demonstrated by the walk, by the thing you do, not the thing you think, feel, or say. When a person gets stuck in quicksand, they go to what is natural to them. None of us probably have been in quicksand, but you've seen movies with people in quicksand, and they go to what's natural. And what's natural is to flail your arms to try to get yourself out of this thing that's sucking you up. Well, the reason quicksand sucks you up is that it is sand mixed with water. When sand gets mixed with water, it removes the friction of sand being on sand. So since sand is no longer on sand, but now sand has been mixed with water, the friction of sand being with sand is no longer there. So the more you try to get out of it, the more it's sucking you under. The harder you try to get out of it, the harder it's sucking you under, because you don't have anything with enough friction to push you against it. So when you push against it, the water is just with the sand is just drawing you down. But you're doing what's natural. If you get caught in quicksand, you have to do what is unnatural. You have to go against your natural inclination to fight to get out. And you must relax, which slows down the process of you being pulled down, which gives you time to paddle, not fight. And when you rest and paddle, which is against your natural inclination, you find out deliverance is possible. You go to what you naturally think is right, and you are aiding and abetting your demise. That's how it is with God. Sometimes when God wants to do something, you have to go against your natural inclination. What is natural to your mind, your will, your desires, your goal, because you want to be delivered.
Dr. Evans will tell us more.
Welcome to The Real with Joseph Lamtman. I am Joseph Lamtman. Happy Wednesday today. Hope you guys having a good day today. I know I am. Got my hater shades on. I even got this bag on today. Yeah. And so, I'm ready to go today. It's going to be a great show today. Great topic today. Love that intro video there from Tony Evans. And the reason why I played that today, because it kind of goes with hand in hand with the main topic today about anxiety. And so, obviously people ask me a lot about anxiety because they know my experience. Obviously, that's kind of the basis of the show and my story. And so, but the reason why I played that video there in the beginning is because the part where Tony talks about being in quicksand and having to relax instead of doing what's your natural instinct, which is to fight. I feel like that's very key. I even have that part there where he talks about that. I have that screen recorded and saved in my phone because it's a good reminder for me whenever I need it throughout my day, or just something to listen to. And so the topic for today's show, and I have a quick video from the anxiety guy about it, is about anxiety and the feelings and what the true meaning behind them is. Because I feel like a lot of people get the symptoms of anxiety. They start to get the feelings. They start to really think something's wrong with them, especially people with health anxiety like myself, or when I really had it bad. And so, but now I've come to terms with going through the program with Dennis, but also just in my healing journey, I've realized that what the true meaning behind a lot of these feelings are. A lot of times it's just interpretations from your past. That's all it is. It's how we interpret things. It's stored data in your system. It's like a computer. And so, for instance, if I went to a certain environment, or if I was in a certain situation, I may start to feel a little anxious about something. I may start to feel a little tense and start to have doubts in my head. And a lot of times it's because in the past I was in a similar situation where it was kind of traumatic for me, or things didn't go the way I planned. I had a bad experience, maybe a panic attack, anxiety attack, whatever. And so my body is trying to protect me to keep me out of that, from ever experiencing that again in that situation, in that predicament, maybe around a certain group of people, or whatever it is. It's different for everybody. And so, but I like what Tony said there when he makes the reference about the quicksand. It's because if you want to, and he's obviously referring to more of a spiritual, talking about deliverance from God. But I like what he said, because they go hand in hand. About, you need to relax. Our natural instinct when we get in those environments is to fight back, to run away, and to hide. Or not environments, excuse me. It's just when we get those feelings in certain situations or moments, that's our natural instinct, is to go into fight or flight mode, survival mode. And so I think when he says there about the fastest way to, and this is true with anxiety, the fastest way to stop your anxiety and heal it is to just sit there and let it, not fight back, just ride the wave. And that's a term we, over in the anxiety guy community we use, is just riding the wave. And I think the same thing with God. We talked about in the past couple episodes about the balance between doership and allowance, right? And so I think that kind of goes hand in hand too. Sometimes the fastest way to get to where you want to go is just put it in God's hands and relax. And the same thing with anxiety and symptoms. Like I said, I have that audio from that sermon I played in my phone, because when I was in moments where I'll get really anxious, I would turn that on, and it was a good reminder for me to, hey, just relax, this will pass. And then I'd start to slow down, start to think more rationally. And so before you know it, it was gone. The anxiety went away. And then I look back and go, gee, it really is what I thought it was in my head, which was nothing. It was just made up. It was an illusion. And so that's my open for today. Let's kick off this topic. Now, when I get to the video, though, if I can pull it up here on this topic from the anxiety guy. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. All right, so the title for this video, fair use YouTube, although he gave me permission, but fair use, anxiety feelings and the truth behind them. This is a quick video from the anxiety guy. Shout out to him. If you're not subscribed already, go subscribe. It's the #1 anxiety support page there is on the internet. But yeah, let's just get to it. And I'm just going to play this straight through. I'm not going to stop it. It's a quick video. I'm going to play it straight through, then I'll come back and we'll dive into it.
Warriors, welcome. To be honest with you, for a very long time, I was a slave to my feelings. I believed that if I felt something, I had to act in line with that feeling. If I felt something, I had to think in line with that feeling. And if I felt something, I had to speak in line with that feeling. I got to a place in my life where I realized that I was never taught how to think greater than whatever I was feeling. I was never taught that I could act different than how I felt. So this lesson needed to be learned, and it needed to be learned quickly in order for me to begin turning my life around and becoming a brand new persona. You, right now in your life, may be a slave to your feelings. But let me tell you something. Your feelings are nothing more than a statement and a question. The statement is, hey, don't do that if you're experiencing a negative feeling. The question is, hey, are you sure you want to place yourself in that situation? And the second question is all based around your past experiences, because in your past, you went through certain highly intense moments that we could call traumas. And your system is basically warning you that if you partake in the same scenario again, you might experience the same kind of trauma and emotional intensity that you once experienced, which means that our feelings are nothing more than signals. Signals, messages. Now, if you continue to act in line with those feelings, all you're doing is justifying your fears. You are saying, yes, this situation, this person, and this time of day even is to be feared because this is a threat. It may be a threat to our survival. It may be a threat to our social status. It may be a threat to our reputation. But no matter what, if you continue to respect these feelings so much, you're going to continue to keep the same meaning over this situation and therefore keep the same pairings in your mind between things. And I'm not just talking about the pairings in your mind, I'm talking about the pairings in your body. Since as you go about your day, many times, you don't think your way into a feeling. The feeling shows up out of the blue. How? Well, this infinite storage system we call the subconscious mind and body has noted every experience from your past, and it places priority based on experiences that were more emotionally intense than other experiences. So if your subconscious picks up on something in the environment, it could even be a glass of water. If, in fact, you had a troubling experience in the ocean where you thought you saw a shark, that glass of water, because it's water, reminds the subconscious of that past experience, and all of a sudden you feel something. You might not feel the same great intensity you felt when you thought you saw a shark, but it'll be close. It'll be close enough that it gets you to act out of line with what your conscious mind wants to do. So all of a sudden you want to take a glass of water and you're wondering, why am I feeling so anxious? You don't realize it's connected to that past experience. And as long as that past experience holds the same meaning, you will react in the same way. So warriors, let's understand that we have a choice that we can make today to begin responding rather than reacting, number one, and to begin reframing this video right here, reframing experiences that we believe caused this sensitivity and this emotion within us from our past. We can begin to put those two things together, responding in the moment and reframing the things from the past, to begin to bring out a new feeling in time. Many times when people start to do this, they start to gain tremendous clarity. And that idea that I'm presenting to you right here, right now, the idea of don't believe everything you feel, that idea of don't believe everything you feel goes from a thinking area, like that's a nice idea, to a heart area, to a gut area. These are also your processors. So we can do that through these different kinds of approaches. I want you to know that you are greater than your feelings and you are more than anxiety. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the Anxiety Guy YouTube channel. And if you have any other questions on the End the Anxiety program, head on over to this website right here. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful day. You deserve it.
All right. Another fantastic video there from the anxiety guy. A lot of great points there, but a lot of it is kind of what I hit on right before I played the video. And so, guys, the biggest thing to me is, when he said that in the beginning, he was never taught otherwise. And, same thing for me. And I don't mean that like in a bad way, like people failed me or didn't do good enough job. No, people just didn't know. And I think people got to realize the lack of knowledge a lot of our society has around anxiety and what really causes it. We do a hell of a job of coping and hoping you just get by. But to me, you could do better. You deserve more than just getting by, and you can do more than just get by. I don't think a lot of people believe that, and I didn't believe that for a while. I thought, okay, this is just what it is. I have to learn just to deal with it, and eventually it'll go away. Well, that's not how it works. It doesn't happen like that. It's not just going to go away, right? And so, these are deep-rooted problems. These are deep-rooted issues from past experiences, like you said. And so, a lot of my anxieties as the year went on stem from where it all began. And a lot of it, when I dug really deep, I found out a lot of my anxiety, especially my health anxiety, was from stuff I saw when I was a kid, from habits I picked up on, right? And so, it's like I said on this show before, I think the thing nobody really talks about the most is generational anxiety. All right, generational anxiety. And what that is, for instance, let's say your grandparents or whoever, your uncle, aunt, whoever it is, I'm just using that as an example. They're very let's say for health anxiety, they're hypochondriacs. They get a feeling and they think they're going to die every time they get a feeling. They think it's the worst case scenario. And therefore, let's say your parents are a kid, right? And as they grow older, they start to feel some things and they remembered how their mom responded, or their dad responded, or whoever responded, whoever their authority figures were, right? Or maybe you saw somebody react some way one time in your family. And so, and now you think that's the way to respond to things. Hey, I have that same feeling so-and-so had one time. And I remember how they responded. They freaked out, drove themselves to the ER, or went on Dr. Google, went in full-blown panic. Then they really thought something was wrong. They convinced themselves, something was wrong. And so now you think that's the normal way to respond. And then it gets passed down. Your parents have kids, and then they pass it down to you. And it just keeps, how it goes from one thing to the next. And anxiety is just one example of that. There's a lot of things passed down from family to family that are habitual and, things of that manner, and beliefs and things. And so some are good. And obviously, like for me, I became a follower of Christ because my parents and my grandparents and, my authority figures above me, because they passed it down to me and planted the seed in me. And I just made the choice for myself to follow Christ. And so obviously that's the best thing you can do. So there is good things, but I think a lot of times when it comes to anxiety, a lot of the habits, the way you're acting, you really sit back and look at the way how you respond to things and and it might not even be just from your family. It could be from friends. It could be for something you saw online, how you see people react in public now. I mean, I was out in the car today, and it was just crazy. My mom was in the car with me, and we were going to the store, and we were driving, and she just said it. She's like, "Look how fast people are driving. Like they're in a big hurry to go somewhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And I noticed that a lot. We live in a very rat race society here, especially in America. In the western part of the world, well, all over the world, really, but especially where we are. You just see how frantic people look throughout the day. They're always just, everything they do is 100 miles an hour. They eat fast. They don't even taste their food when they eat. Everything they do is fast, 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 fast. They got to go, 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 go. And so when you're aware of a lot of this, and now you see how a lot of other habits you could be formed just from what we're around every day. And so we think it's normal. We don't have to spaz out and drive and do everything fast and emotional and always be so high strung. And so you could relax, just like Tony said. You could literally be who you want to be. You can be you don't have to live your life every day so high strung and so high stressed. And so that's I'm gonna leave it there. That's the open for today. Joining me now, our man, my main man, Mike Antonace,
Howdy, howdy.
back in the building. Mike, I guess kind of where do you want to start from here? You heard kind of the topic today. Let me put on the screen here if I get it. Okay. Anxiety, feelings, and the meaning behind them. And yeah, so I guess kind of what's your initial reaction to this video here today?
Well, with it almost kind of follows the same line of thought as like just recognizing your where your anxiety is coming from. Like practicing mindfulness is almost kind of what he was speaking on, I think. The noticing like, hey, these feelings are a signal. It's coming from like a trauma. Like the example he used was like a glass of water having trauma, seeing a shark in the ocean, which I'll admit, through therapy and through church and whatnot, I'm not very good at practicing mindfulness. I need to get better at it.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that's super important. Just like realizing where your anxiety is coming from. And my best friend actually, I told you on the last episode, I kind of had a little bit of a panic attack with health anxiety. And him and his wife are. His wife is a nurse. He's a military guy. He's been in the military since he was 18. So, they teach you a certain kind of set of things to get over anxiety, breathing techniques. But another thing apparently they taught him was if you say what is actually making you anxious out loud, it helps tenfold, because then for some reason something happens in your brain and you just like be like, oh, that is what's making me anxious. It kind of sounds kind of silly when I say it out loud. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It sounds like it's expression instead of suppression. I feel like, that's really what causes most people's. It's a suppression of something. We feel like we have to hold on to these things. We have to. We think it's who we are. It's our identity.
Right.
But no, in reality, you don't. You don't have to. And that's been key for me, especially in the last 2 years, especially the last year. Just being my true self, getting back to who I was, even better. Just being more expressive, reconnecting with people, and being honest with myself, but also being honest with everybody else. And I don't have to shy away from what I go through. What I go through, a lot of people go through. And so, hell, I think everybody faces it at some point in their life. And so, but yeah, I totally like that. And it kind of reminds me too. I know there's another exercise. It's called chair coaching, right? And so what chair coaching is you can do this on your own. If you're somebody out there that's trying to let something out, or maybe you need to tell somebody something, but you can't tell them. You sit in the chair and you put another chair across from you and you close your eyes and you act like that person's sitting across from you, imagining, right? And so, and you just say what you want to say, and you can do it in private, make sure nobody's around, maybe lock the door, whatever's what you're more comfortable with. But there's so many different, exercises that are out there that I feel like just aren't shared with people. But I've learned it through the Anxiety Guys page. But I guess kind of what I'm getting at is, what's your take on kind of where we are in our society in terms of, just real quick, in terms of our overall knowledge of anxiety and just our first response to help people, just kind of where we are?
I mean, we got to get better, especially since, it's no secret that mental illness, whether it be anxiety, OCD, which is another coping, illness from trauma. I actually dealt with a little bit of OCD from my childhood. Luckily, I saw a good therapist that I no longer have habits. Like I had to turn off lights a certain amount of times to make sure, because I didn't want something bad to happen. Or depression, all these, it's no secret that mental illness is an all-time high in the United States. And I think even globally, if you look at global numbers in the Western world, mental illness is at an all-time high. And there are a bunch of reasons, some people think it has a lot to do with, broken families, divorce is at an all-time high, high number of people living without two parents. It could just be that we have all this information now that we're subjected to. And, it's the facade that the world is a very safe place is kind of like melted down since the internet has become a thing. You can see all the horror of the world on, the 9 o'clock action news if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as our society goes, it's weird. We're in this middle ground. Like we know, like it's no secret. Like I said, we know mental illness, whether it be anxiety, depression, OCD, bipolar disorder, what have you, is at an all-time high in the United States and globally. But our response to it is still very lacking.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it's for lack of trying. I know the school systems, public education try to put in like guidance counselors. That's a relatively new thing. People forget that. Like I think it only started coming around in the late 90s, and then it kind of became a staple in the United States after the fact. So like I feel like they're trying, but obviously like a myriad of reasons. Like therapy is expensive. Not all insurance covers it. And at least for men, it's society teaches us that we're not, supposed to talk about things. We're supposed to deal with it,
Yeah.
and that's not talked about enough. Like, it's almost like an unspoken rule. Like as a man, you're supposed to be stoic. No one's supposed to know what you're thinking or feeling. Everything's always supposed to be okay with you. You're supposed to provide financially, emotionally, physically for your family. And you're not supposed to talk about what is ailing you because you need to be strong for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big issue, especially with men that are dealing with mental illness. I mean, if you look at suicides, I think the statistic is men are more likely to actually follow through with their attempt of suicide and succeed in doing it than women or any other group. And like, it's a shame really that like, we're to the point that even though we have all this knowledge that mental illness is very common and it affects both genders, proportionally, that it still isn't like well known or well accepted by at least American society that men are allowed to talk about what's going on with them. Not only are they allowed, they should. And even if like I've known men that hardly ever pray about their problems. And it's like, hey, God knows you better than anybody. You're scared to bring it to God. He knows. He already knows what's going on with you. He just wants you to talk to him about it.
And that's what I kind of want to hit on, because you made a couple great points there. I think they both kind of go together. You talked about kind of how our society's lacking, but the biggest thing out of everything you said there that I wrote down here just to keep tabs on is we're almost seeing a result of just a lack of God in our society. This is a result of a lack of God. I think that's the main issue, number one, because a lot of people don't believe they have anything to turn to.
Right.
You have a spiritual component, and the anxiety guys said this. I've said it. Anybody that's experienced it, you've experienced it. You've shared it on the show. You have to have a connection to God. You got to have, and that is ultimately what will bring you through. Because what a lot of people fear, let's say, fear of death. Why do you fear death? A lot of people fear death because they don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I think that's
the unknown, the great unknown.
Yeah. But I think just that lack of belief, maybe, or if people who are atheists, I know, you shared about your past and how you were there at one point. You were very angry. That anger, all these feelings, right? And that's the kind of basis of today's show. All these feelings are all connected to something deeper. What's the real meaning behind them? And so, but yeah, I think when you look at our society, the lack of God, something else you said at the end there. I forgot to write it down. But I think
the divorce rate, or with
well, that's when you talk about the families breaking down, to me, that's a result of lack of God.
Right.
And so I guess, kind of we'll just go into that a little bit real quick. What do you kind of? I mean, this is really that's what I see, Mike. Is this is a result of
right?
This is what happens when you take God out of society, like we've done.
Right. Now, this kind of harkens to a debate I watched. There's a famous theologian. His name's William Lane Craig, and he's debated, astrophysicists that, world over, renowned men of science. And he's a doctor in theology, and I think he has another doctorate in something else. Guy way smarter than me, right?
Mm.
And he actually talked about something along the lines of this. So essentially, and this is for any, non-believer that may be watching, because I've had non-believers ask me about this, I think because of the show. The fact when we say, God, without God in the society, the society is going to, go down. And I believe God exists. So obviously the lack of God in, your society is going to make it fail.
Right.
However, if you're a non-believer, they can think of it this way. For 1,500 years at least, our moral compass has been, and tradition has been set on Christian found beliefs, at least within the Western world. So as you start to break those down, and this is for non-believers, that moral compass, and you're breaking down those traditions that were set for 1,500 years by Christian beliefs. If you start to break those down, it's going to cause societal, unrest, mentally, spiritually, physically. Like we're already seeing it, within the news, the way people act nowadays, like how they're not afraid to do certain things. Like, even if you are a non-believer, you can't look away at the effect that the Christian moral compass has had on society. I mean, I'd say 90% of our laws are written with a Christian moral compass in mind.
We were founded on biblical values.
Yes.
If people actually really, I know, and this has been something the last couple of years, especially, that's been really twisted. And, let's just face it, we got a lot of, this is a topic for another show. We got a lot of fake spiritual leaders out. They say they're spiritual leaders that camouflage Christianity, that camouflage religion on top of things to make it get their point across that they're trying to push an agenda. But anyways, I didn't mean to go on a rant there. But
no, you're fine. I was ranting.
No, you're good. But I feel like I like what you said there. People act, and it's kind of what Dennis said in this video. And I wrote it down. Acting in line with those fears, right? So you get the signals, you get the inner chatter in your head. People forget you get 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day in your mind. A lot of people don't know that. That's people can range from about, depending on how busy of a day you're having or what's going on, 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And so when you look at it like that, you think, gee, I kind of view it as like birds or clouds, right? And you think of a birds like to nest. And so, but you can choose which ones you allow to nest, right? And so if I get a thought, I let that thing fly away. If I don't like it, I don't identify with that thought. For instance, like with health anxiety, like you said, you've been through that. I get a thought or a feeling, which turns into a thought. Oh, I have something. Well, I can choose. I can say, I'm not wrong for feeling this way. This is a normal response, but I also get to respond differently. I don't have to identify with that thought. Or, for instance, let's say somebody in your family or somebody you're around who has problems. You try to help them out, but I don't have to identify with that person's, their fears, whatever they got going on in their life, whatever drama they got going on or whatever. And so, but again, I like what you said there about acting in line with those fears. But also, I think the next layer to that, which we'll hit on, I know Dennis talked about, this is a threat to could be survival, could be, for a lot of people nowadays with social media and the pressures of the world, reputation, friendships, popularity, a lot of things. I guess kind of what do you see there? Because it seems like a lot of this anxiety nowadays it's just revolved around things about our reputation. We're worried about how people perceive us and just kind of this rat race we live in.
Right. And, like you said, with the rat race, I think that has a lot to do with it. There are a lot of societal expectations that are kind of out in the open now, and not just kind of like mum's the word. So, yeah, with that, I'd say that a lot of anxiety does come from just, wanting, at least from a man's perspective, for me, like when I was in the car business, I was constantly anxious about, being able to sell X amount of cars so I can make X amount of dollars so I don't have to freak the hell out, like, oh man,
Right.
really hope I don't have to like just, count all
Mhm.
my eggs in my Christmas bonus. You know what I mean? Like I hope November is okay. Got to buy presents, but yeah, no, societal and, fiscal anxiety is so big right now. And that's a big thing besides health anxiety, I'd say fiscal anxiety can be even worse, because with health anxiety, most of the times it's a thought that we cause, right? It's a signal that we like hang our hat on, and really there's no base at the end of the day. Like we've all been to the ER, you and me both have done that, where we I'm freaking out. I think I'm having a seizure, or, I'm having a heart attack. I got to go to the ER.
Oh yeah.
And they say you're fine, right?
Or I'll call my doctor.
Yeah.
That's what I used to, the two biggest things for me that I always did was I would Dr. Google. 3 things: Dr. Google, ask for reassurance from people around me in the moment, and then I would call my doctor too, or go to my doctor, and she would always be like, "Why are you here?"
Right.
Like, what are you doing here?
See, I worked myself up so bad in a panic attack, I'd have to go to an ER. They would give me an EKG, be like, your heart rate's pretty high, but you're fine. And then they give me Ativan. And
you just took it out of my mouth. Ativan.
Yeah, and then once they kicks in, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm coasting.
Oh yeah, I'll tell a story one time. Actually, I think people like stories because they can relate. When all that stuff happened to me when I was 15, right? I didn't really leave my house for like the first 3 months at all. I was really trapped in, very agoraphobic. I was really down. That was the lowest I've ever been in my life. And the most just confused, and just everything just happened in a blur so fast. And so I remember I went to a doctor's appointment in January of 2016, right? I go in there. Number one, I barely made it there. On the way there, I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm having anxiety real bad. I'm sweating. I'll get real flush. My face will be red. I'm sitting there talking to my mom like, am I gonna be okay? And the whole thing. And so I get in there, and I gotta wait. And I hate waiting when I'm anxious because it makes it worse. Now I gotta sit there, really have that movie run in my head, and I'm really gonna be sitting there like, oh boy, man, it's all bottled up, because it's bottled up energy.
Right. Yeah.
And I gotta sit there like this around some random people. I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh. And so I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. It's really ramping up a little bit. So she's like, okay, the nurse, okay, you can come in now. Like, finally. So I get back there, and they're sitting there taking my stuff, my vitals, when you go to doctors. And
yeah.
And so, and it was a little high. It wasn't bad, but like when they took my blood pressure, it was high. It was a normal reaction to because I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
And so they weren't too worried about it. She goes, yeah, it's a little high. She goes, just relax. And she's like, sit back. But man, it's hard to relax. Because
I was about to say, easier said than done.
Right. And it's so hard to relax. And I didn't have the tools or anything at that time.
Right.
I'm just weighing it. And so I'm sitting there. She's like, you need to relax. She's like, nurses were great. They were like, just calm down, relax. You're okay. The doctor will be in here real soon. I'm starting to freak out more. I'm like, I just can't. I'm breathing hard. I'm just
right. You're in a room alone at that point. Yeah.
But I didn't want to sit back even. I didn't want to sit back.
Yeah.
Because what I really wanted to do ultimately was just get the hell out of there and go home. Because home was my comfort space. And so, like I said, I didn't really leave the house at all. So this is the first time I've really been. And I was only like 5-10 minutes away from my house. But that was the first time I've really been out in a while like that, even just that far, at that time. And so I remember the nurses left, and I looked at my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I just feel kind of out of it a little bit. I'm like freaking out. She's like, just relax. And so they tell the doctor make sure she comes in as soon as she can. She comes in, she's talking to me, and she's like, I'm like really freaking out. I'm like this, I'm bending over, I'm sweating real bad. I'm like dripping. I'm like drenched.
Right.
I'm just like, it's hot because the heat was on. It's the wintertime. And I'm like, I keep asking her. I just kept asking over and over, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? And she's like, if I thought something was wrong with you, I'd be sending you to the ER right now. She goes, you're fine. Yeah. And I'm like, I kept asking, I'm like, am I going to pass out? Is something wrong? I feel like I'm out of it. She's like, you're okay. She goes, you're just having a panic attack. But when she looked at me and said, if I thought something was wrong with you, I would be sending you to the ER right now. That kind of actually helped me calm down. because I was in essence because
It gives you some I didn't mean to
reassurance in
cut
the
you off.
moment.
Yeah, reassurance and some like actual like you know.
But that was the first experience for me to where okay, I'm in that kind of environment where something's wrong, but I'm with a doctor, and I was with a great doctor who was very honest with me, which I appreciated, because she basically told me, she goes, "Hey, I've been where you are." That's what she told me. And she said, "You're fine." And then before you know it, I'm sitting there laughing, talking about the game tonight and all that, what I'm doing tonight and all this and that. And, but I've heard a lot of people like that. I know a lot of people. Hell, there's somebody you and I both know. I'm not going to say his name on here, but you might know. He goes to the doctor's office, and he said he would get it really bad. And he said there was a couple times where he just ran out the back door because he had it so bad. He just ran out the back door. The fighter, he's just like, I had to get the hell out of here. And so, but a lot of people, and from that point on, though, they gave me Ativan that day. They prescribed it, and so for why I took Ativan, if I ever needed it, it was for
as needed. It's like
as needed. It wasn't my daily thing, but
right.
if I needed it, but I did take it a lot. And for that first, I'm not saying take it a lot of people, but for me, I'm only speaking for myself. I had to use it a good amount during that first 6-month period because I was really just trying to figure it out to slow down. But kind of the basis of what I'm getting at is, I didn't have any tools I was taught at that time. I was just winging it, but I was in a cycle too. I was in a cycle of just and that was my mindset every day. Every day was waking up and trying to get through the day, like survival. Right. I wasn't waking up with today's gonna be a great day because I have I'm stable. I love my life. At that point in time, it was every day feels like survival mode. And so, but I know a lot of people feel like that every day, especially in our society. And so I guess kind of, what do you think about all that? Just kind of maybe you want to share experiences as well, or kind of what I ranted there a little bit, but I feel like that go mentality is so just being aware of what we're surrounded by.
Oh yeah.
Even the people around us.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of my health anxiety stems from what I got on my brain. I've kind of talked about it before, how I have an abnormal MRI. I have white matter abnormality on my brain that is looks like MS, but it's not MS. I have no symptoms of any sort of actual disease. And I've had it as probably since I was born, but at least recorded since I was 14, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I totally get the survival mode thing. Cause when it was weird. Like when I was a kid, I was able to take what my doctor said, like what my neurologist said, like, hey, I don't think this is something, you obviously, there's something going on, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Like, I think you were born with it. I think your brain just formed that way. And, there's a difference between your brain forming a little differently in a degenerative disease, like MS, the symptoms of it are like the spots would continue to go and I would start losing certain motor functions and that kind of stuff. And if I had it, I probably already in my late 20s would have experienced something,
right. No, I just want to put out, I mean, disclaimer, YouTube, but this is just our personal experience. We're not doctors, right? You got to put that disclaimer out there.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not a doctor.
we're not doctors. We're not medical advice. We're just giving our personal experience. If you have an issue out there, go ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor.
Or whoever. But
yeah,
sorry, I got to put that disclaimer out there.
Oh, no, you're cool. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Well, just in case. I don't want, and for anybody listening, like, hey, we're just giving you our experience.
Right.
Maybe you can relate, but you make your own decision.
Right. And honestly, with that stuff, like there's a strong part of me because as an adult, that's caused me a massive amount of anxiety because I'm like, oh man, am I going to start like, losing certain things and almost like the not knowing. I remember on the first episode, I said something along the lines of like, I almost wish they would have diagnosed me with MS because at least I would have known what is going on with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So they told you, I just want to clarify. So they told you don't have MS. They said it was right. What again?
They really don't know. They just called it neurological disorder because essentially they have to like classify it as something because, you know, I do have abnormalities, but it's not a disease. Like it's almost like.
And what was? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you know, it's not like it's dead brain. Apparently, like that's just the best thing. It's scar tissue on my brain. So
Oh, okay.
if someone were to have a benign tumor, you know,
Mhm.
like yeah, you got a tumor, but it's not cancer. You know, like
And so they weren't
it's kind of
really,
along that line.
and their response to that was they weren't really concerned about it.
Yeah. So essentially, because both my sisters have it too. Like if you put,
Oh, so it might be a family thing.
yeah, so if you put my
Oh,
sister
okay.
and me's brain scans next to each other, our spots are in the exact same spot. You could
Wow.
almost not differentiate whose brain is whose. That's how similar they are.
Yeah.
Which the neurologist, as a man of science, was like, he was excited for it because he had never seen anything like it. But you know, they don't have anything going on either. So eventually he just got in front of a board of his neurologist, him and other, you know, neurologists, and which are among the smartest doctors you can have, right?
Right.
And they had all of our MRIs up there, and they spent like the better part of a couple hours discussing what it could be. And at the end, they were just like, probably a vascular thing you were born with, and it's probably way more common than we know. It's just that not a lot of people go and get brain scans in their life. You just had a really thorough pediatrician.
Yeah. And so, but I'm glad you share this because, and I know it's not easy. And I have
No, like I still think about it all the
absolutely.
time.
But I'm glad you brought this up because it's kind of I asked you this questions for a reason because what I'm getting at, see, somebody could be listening to this right now and they could be a little curious. They could be curious enough to get the phone and start Googling and start questioning. And so
yeah, if I Googled white matter abnormalities on Google, there is not a single thing that is a good thing.
But
you know,
I guess kind of what I'm asking you is
don't
I'm getting
Google.
towards the response, right? How we respond to things. And I've been there where I know somebody who has an ailment or I feel a certain thing and I start to question it and I get fearful of it. You know, will this happen? That's the
I
what
get
ifs.
that wholeheartedly, bro.
It's the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens?
Right.
So
Not to cut you off, but can you relate with this where like if you hear a celebrity or somebody you know has passed away, is the first thing you do try and find out what they passed away from?
Oh, absolutely. People
almost
do all the time.
try and like, you know, how do I avoid that? You know what I mean? Or like how
I
old
used
is
to
he?
do that, or I would hear something, somebody died of this ailment, maybe a certain X, somebody died of X, right? Whatever X is. And a lot of times it could be something I feared, right? And so what I try to do is what's helped me though is like, for instance, when I do this show, and let's say I have somebody random come on, not you, but like the times we went live,
right?
People are coming on and really talking, or people hit me up in private, or when I help people in private, I can't. And this is something my counselor taught me because he does this stuff every day, all day, every day. He's dealing with all different types of problems. He hears a lot of things that are sometimes crazy, sometimes, you know, it's a lot. It's emotional baggage.
Yeah.
You know, you can't identify. It's like I said earlier, I've tried to train myself to where, okay, I hear something about so-and-so, that's their problem. That doesn't identify with me.
Correct.
I can only speak for me. And as for me, I know I'm healthy in terms of health anxiety. I know who I am. Just because I hear something about so-and-so doesn't mean that's my problem. I don't have to take on that. And so it's kind of like, that's what helps me with that is, okay, I hear something. And a lot of times
I'm going to use that. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, it's just
because I still find myself doing that sometimes. Like, oh man, he passed away. Like I was reading a Robert Jordan novel, and I was like, man, he passed away at 54. That's pretty young. But he passed for, you know.
You got to remember too, I don't really know what's going on in somebody's life.
Yeah.
There's a public image, and then there's their private life.
Right.
And so you don't know what these people are, their family history. We don't know anything about them. It could be anything.
Right.
And a lot of times especially public figures, they're not going to tell you the full story because that's their private information. The family wants to keep it private, and that's their. I respect that.
Yeah.
That's their total right.
Yeah.
And so I think people just got to look at it for what it is. Okay, so and so died. Hopefully they're a Christian. They went to heaven, and pray for the family in their healing process. As they're mourning. That's how I approach it now, because I'm glad you brought that up, because I used to do that. You hear something about somebody else and you start getting, we do this a lot in our society. We get fearful.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think about it. When you're driving down the road, what are a lot of the billboards you see? Go get this checked. Go get this. Call today. We're surrounded by so much bullshit in our society. A lot of just advertisements. We're surrounded by it. People got to remember, this is something, and I'm not taking a shot. I'm saying, obviously go see your doc, but this is an industry we're surrounded by. We're surrounded by industries. We're surrounded by corporations. We're surrounded by things. People do things to make money. And so, and I'm not saying that's not all people associated with these are bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. But that's an industry. Everything's an industry. I mean, there's advertisement everywhere now for everything. And so, I think people just having that awareness that you don't have to identify with everything. That's something that I've had to learn. I still go through. That's something I'm growing in. But again, and that's something I always keep with me when I do this show. As this show grows and I start to maybe have more people on, do more lives, anybody can come on this panel and say whatever, and I got to be prepared for it. But I also have to prepare for when this show's over, or whenever something's over, or if I hear something, it's over with. It doesn't apply to me.
Right.
I can help the best way I can, but I can't do it for them. It's not at the end of the day, all I can worry about is me. And so I know I kind of ranted there, but I don't know, I guess kind of you got anything to add there?
No, that was perfect.
Yeah. But no, I was asking you this question about the responding. I guess we'll wrap it up here with this topic. But so when you found out, I guess kind of if you look back at it now, what were some of the things you probably thought that maybe added more fuel to the fire that you did after the way you responded? Was it the Googling? Was it just the...
Oh, God, the Googling.
Did you have like a lot of time to really sit and just... Because that's the one thing people don't realize either, is just sitting. When you have time to sit and think, well, your mind can really play tricks on you and go anywhere. And so if you got to really how you're focused, that's why I talk about focused on this show a lot. So I guess kind of looking back now, what are some things... Because I think that's good I look back on things that I did wrong. Not say wrong, but that I probably shouldn't have did, and then I tried to replace them with new things. So I guess kind of, is there anything you could think of, maybe like after you found out and they told you everything was fine? And
yeah, I wish I wouldn't, keep Googling and whatnot. Like my neurologist, because I remember at one point I was so nervous about like dying that like I asked my neurologist, I was like, hey, in your professional opinion, do you think I will, like, I can take it, just tell me. I just wanted an answer. I was like, do you think I'll live a long life even though I have this? And he's like, yeah, Michael, I mean, you have no degenerative symptoms. Your spots haven't changed in 6 years. He goes, the chances of you, he goes, if you had a disease and you had these spots, the chances that it just goes dormant for 6 years and nothing happens, he goes, are slim to none. He goes, like MS or any of the other of these diseases, like you will have the spots and you'll have flare-ups that will be bad, and it might go dormant for months at a time. But he goes, but you would have flare-ups. Like something would be happening that is not happening right now. He goes, in 6 years. He goes, we put you through all the tests we can outside of like he wanted to do like I don't know if it was just for like extra diagnosing, but he wanted to do a gene thing, like check which part of my DNA like went wrong when I was born to see where that happened. But insurance wouldn't cover it. It's an expensive test.
All right.
And they didn't see the need since I wasn't diagnosed with anything. But yeah, no, it was definitely the Googling. And I think even with the neurologist saying like, hey, I think you were born with it, I don't think it's necessarily to worry about. Like I still like the unknowing kind of made me like be like, oh, maybe he's wrong. Like I was like, but at the same time I had to remind myself like yet he thought that maybe he could be wrong. So he sat down with a board of neurologists with our MRIs and got like a third, fourth, and fifth opinion, and they all came to the same conclusion. And then,
oh yeah, that's the thing too. I've had 3 different opinions. I had 3 different doctors in this time period, right? Yeah, I think three doctors, and I had 2 counselors, and the same opinion, or the opinion was the same from all of them. Like,
yeah,
and it's funny you said 6 years, because that was, for me, it was 6 years. Not saying some people it's different years, but yeah, it took me 6 years to really, and I'm like, and I still go through, sometimes I have to tell myself, like, hold on, man, I've waited for 6 years for something to happen, and nothing's happened.
right.
And so, but there's a lot of people I know that are much older than us that they've kind of just, that's how they've always lived. They're just trying to get by. And they've been doing this stuff for 30 years. And I'm just like, wow, like we are really behind, because imagine, and the main point I'm getting at here is, imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have to feel like every day was just trying to get by. Because you really can live like that. That's how God wants us to live. That's acting in faith. Now, obviously, we all fall short a lot, and I'm guilty of it.
Right.
You know, we talk about acting in faith, because faith is believing in the things not seen, and trust, right? And so, same thing there. Do you have faith in your doctor? Do you have faith in yourself? Do you have faith in your own body? Do you have faith in the people around you that love you and care for you? And so, but yeah, I mean, that was a big thing for me. But ultimately, what helped me was getting to the deeper levels. And that's what I feel like we don't get enough of. We don't get taught enough. We get taught how to suppress and get by and deal with it, but we don't learn how to really heal from it and grow from it and use it for our advantage. You know, I tell people, my anxiety, I use it to my advantage now. It's actually helped made me stronger in who I am. Because when you go through an anxiety and panic disorder to that heightened level, and the anxiety guy said this, and I believe it, it's the closest thing to death you'll ever get to. And when you look at it like that, look at it as in a confident way, like, damn, I really did something. Like, I went through something that deep, like that, and I'm still here. Like, I'm still here. You know, I mean, that's confidence. That's power. That's empowerment to yourself. And that's how I try to look at it and approach it. Yes, I have days where I get off focus. Now, a lot of times, what gets me off focus is, you know, I may see something or hear something that makes me think about my past. You know, oh man, I wish woulda, coulda, woulda, you know, all that shit, and then her stuff, excuse me, and then, you know, you start to, you know, your focus gets off track. But it's like, I don't know if I shared before on the show. I played the video. I don't know if you remember the 2 screen method I shared. This is another tool. You guys, if you're listening, write this down. It's a hell of a tool. It's called the 2 screen method. Dr. Scott Symington on YouTube. That's his name. And what the 2 screen method is, there's like a side screen here, and there's a front screen. Your front screen is your conscious mind. The side screen is that it's over here trying to blink in your face. It's like your subconscious mind, your fear, your inner chatter, your inner child, whatever you want to call it, trying to get your attention. And a lot of times people, they glance here and they get stuck here. When you get stuck here, now you're inside the screen. Now you're in a rabbit hole.
Right.
But it teaches you how to accept this, that this is always going to be here. You know, this is just a natural part of you, but you can make a healthy relationship with this to keep yourself anchored on the front screen. And it talks about how anchoring yourself on the front screen could be doing a loving action, praying for somebody, and doing a mindful action, maybe going on a walk, maybe calling somebody, you know, something to get your focus, to get you grounded and in tune. And so, but those tools really helped me, but also just realizing a lot of what I feel is normal. I'm not wrong for feeling the way I feel. It's a normal part of me. If I think about something in my past or someone, people in my past, and there's feelings associated with that, that's normal. There's a feeling there. I'm not wrong for feeling it. I don't have to respond out of fear. I don't have to let it control me. And so, you know, I can make a healthy relationship, a new meaning with this, like he was saying. And so, I know I kind of ranted there, but anything else you want to add to this topic before we move on to the fun part? Or
no, I think we did a great job as usual.
Another hell of a job today from
another
Mike and
hell.
Joe.
Yeah,
Pat
applause,
yourself-
self-applause.
Pat yourself on the back there.
And
bud.
real quick, I am not drinking a beer at well, I guess 4:30 would be an okay time to drink a beer. Shout out to Brownie's Caramel Cream Root Beer.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
root beer,
since
actually, huh?
1929. I got it from in shout out, is it called Grandpa Joe's? I think it is. Grandpa Joe's Candy Shop in downtown Cuyahoga
Downtown
Falls.
Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
I
not a
don't
big
drink
candy guy.
pop anymore. I used to drink root beer all the time. Then I stopped a long time ago.
I'm like your dad now. I usually only drink diet or zero sugar soda. However, I was
drink
like
Perrier water. That's what I drink.
Perrier. It's good for you.
Perrier.
But
But
I'll indulge once in a while, and technically this is me and Hannah's vacation week. So we got her some she got some like chocolate covered like truffles and whatnot, some girly candies, and I was like, I'm gonna get me some root beer. So I got myself some.
before we go to break, I got to give a shout out. He's a longtime family friend of my family. Great guy, Rocco's in Cuyahoga Falls. Great pizza, but if you want great
Very
root
good
beer,
pizza.
homemade root beer, try it out.
Great pizza. Great pizza. No wonder your dad shouted them out so hard to me years ago. He never told me they were family friends. Now I know.
Oh yeah, right. I saw him last. I saw Rocco a couple weeks ago. He's walking out somewhere. We were out at somewhere. I was like, hey, and he's like, hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, we know Rocco real well, but he's known my family for 40 years or at least. And so
If you didn't have a party in the arcade room when you were a kid, you were lame.
right. Oh, I've had plenty of parties.
Oh yeah, same. I've been to like 3, 4.
We've had team meetings in there, film sessions, and all kinds. But
Playing Q*bert.
they have great, phenomenal. I don't drink it anymore, but when I did, phenomenal homemade root beer. If you're looking for root beer, you're either getting your pizza, get your root beer on the way out. But all right. Well, I think we hit that pretty well. I'm gonna go to break real quick, and when we come back, Mike's gonna join me again, and we're gonna talk about the Browns. They opened up training camp today, and you don't want to miss this. And again, if you have anything more on this topic we discussed today, leave in the comments below. Hit me up on social media. You can go to my Instagram now, wherever. I got a link tree now. You can find me everywhere. So I'd love to hear your guys' reaction and your take. Yeah. So we'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Lamtman. Hope you guys enjoyed part 1 today of our discussion. But now we get to have some fun here. The Browns opened up training camp today in Berea. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Deshaun Watson. We heard Myles Garrett speak today. Kevin Stefanski, Greg Newsome, Nick Chubb all spoke today. And kind of the basis of what they're asking is, is what's going on with Deshaun a distraction? Is, how's everybody handling everything? Kind of what's the feel of the team? And so I like what I heard from Myles Garrett the most. He said it hasn't been a distraction at all, that it's actually been a hell of an off season, and that everything's been fine. So joining me again now to kind of give his take, Mike, what's your thoughts on the Browns so far as we head into training camp here?
I'm very, very excited. And once again, Kevin Stefanski has fervently said Jacoby Brissett is the starter in the stead of Deshaun's suspension, which for any Browns fans that were freaking out over a camp arm in Josh Rosen, they can chill out. My God, it's like normal. It's normal Browns protocol. We had 4 quarterbacks last year. Garrett Gilbert. We cut him after preseason. It's just what we do.
Right.
But, the sky's always falling with Browns fans. We can't ever enjoy things. We have to complain. So, but, yeah, what are you thinking of? Why do you think Sue's taking so long with her decision?
Well, that's what I was going to hit on today. We're going to preview camp a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah. Hold on, Texas. Sorry about that. But
you're good.
I think she's really looking at it's a real thorough investigation. I think that she's taking her time with it. I think she doesn't want any noise surrounding too much. I think she's trying to do it the right way, but she's a former federal judge.
Yeah.
So she knows what she's doing. She's going through normal due practice protocol, all the lawyers, everything involved. And so she's not worried about what anybody thinks, what everybody's timeline is. I think, there was 25 accusers, so there's 5 main ones that they're really looking at. I know there was another one that came along. She threw that out. She didn't think it was really anything.
I think it was 5, and then she threw one out, so it was 4 that she was looking at.
Yeah, I just think there's so much she had to look at and really dive into, because there's so many people involved that you got the defendant, or you got Deshaun and his lawyer and his camp and their side. You got the NFL in their case, which doesn't sound like there's a whole lot there. And then you got Busby and the women in their cases. Then you got the Houston Texans involved. There's just a lot involved. And so there was hearings. They put all the evidence in from all sides. And so I think we're going to know, hell, it could happen right now as we're talking. I think it's going to happen probably around this week. I think by the end of the month, we'll know for sure.
Hope.
So 4 days left. I think we're going to know going into August. But where I am on it, I think I'm still going to say, 0 to 4 games. And maybe even if it's 0 games, then it's a fine. And I know Mary Kay Cabot said that. She hinted at that yesterday in one of her videos she did. She asked her about it. She said, she didn't say that's what she's hearing, but she said it could be a suspension of games or it could be a fine. I could totally see a fine, because when you look at a lot of this, there was no criminal charges. We know that, right? There was 2 grand juries, both said no. And so now it's more just a hearsay, she say, and just he said, she said, excuse me, and just kind of, looking at all the evidence. And he's also settled. Then there was also one of the accusers, their son was on tape basically saying his mom heard about the other accused. It didn't sound good. It was just kind of like they said in the tape, they said the child said, yeah, my mom heard about the other people coming out, and she changed her tune on it completely.
Right.
And so, I'm not really sure. I guess kind of, what do you think? I'm still 0 to 6, but I could also see 0 with a fine as well.
I'm 0 to 6 still. I haven't really changed my opinion. I think there was a report, right, that the Browns at this point, at least on the interior, are bracing at worst an 8-game suspension. So they think that is the literal worst it can get now, is 8 games. So The fact that the Browns are bracing for that as if that was worst case scenario, they're actually hoping for less. They just think like, hey, if a bad suspension does happen, this is the amount it's going to be. It's not going to be a year. It's not going to be 12 games. Worst case scenario is 8.
Right.
So, but I'm still of the mind of 0 to 6. I think 6 and Sue Robinson and how the case was handled. I feel like that would be harsh even from her point of view. I know this is the first major case under the new code of conduct arbitration policy. So maybe that's why she's just taken so long. But yeah, I just, it's one of those things. I know as fans, we just want to know right now. I'm sure as the team's probably handling it way better because, they knew he was going to be suspended some games at some point. So I don't know.
I got a surprise guest for you in the background right now.
Dude.
A new father, by the way.
What's
Jeremy
going on?
Oh my goodness, Jeremy Lynch.
Sitting here with a little man.
Oh, man. Look at him.
He's taking a nap.
What's his name, Jeremy?
Luca John Lynch.
John Lynch. That's a great name.
So
congratulations, buddy.
Congratulations,
man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on to join our Browns conversation. I know you're a big Browns fan, so.
Oh yeah.
Training camp started today. I guess we were talking about there. Kind of, where do you see things with Deshaun Watson suspension? What do you see there? What do you think he's going to get?
I mean, lots of speculation. Obviously, I mean, the big thing is, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way because it's a touchy subject, depending on what point of view you come from on it. And this is from somebody that has the utmost respect for women, and never put their hands on a woman, or just doesn't believe in that. Nothing has been proven. He hasn't been charged with anything in a court of law. They couldn't come up with enough evidence to charge him with anything.
2 grand juries tried to
indict him. Just indict him. Yeah,
I mean, just if you're looking at obviously, anytime you're waiting on a verdict or a jury or anything like that, it comes down to guilty or not guilty. And in order to come to that verdict, you look at the evidence that is put before you.
Right.
Other than hearsay, what evidence is there?
Right. Yeah, and I agree.
It's he said, she said, he did, she did. And granted, if he did it and there was stacking evidence against him, even though I'm a Browns fan, I would say, he probably deserves an indefinite suspension. If it was like, hey, it's a no-brainer, he did this over 20 times. But then again, there isn't that. So if I had to guess, I would say 6 games, 6 to 8 is kind of what I felt would be what protects the shield. You know what I mean?
But this is unique though because it's not them really making the decision now. It's an independent party with
that they pay for though.
Yeah,
the NFLPA also.
The PA, that's a joint. It's joint with the PA and the NFL. So this is all brand. This is like the first big case under this new system, and so, I don't know. You've said everything. Mike and I have said a lot on the show. You look at all the evidence, and I feel like too a lot of the evidence wasn't shown throughout the case. The media took it and really spun a narrative to one direction that I felt was kind of like odd because there's 2 sides to every story. It's supposed to be a neutral basis, not like you're siding one or the other. You just look at it from all the facts. And so, Mike,
by the way, one of y'all could have emailed me and told me that it's Sunglasses Gang.
Oh yeah, we got our hater shades on. We wear these now.
You should have gave me a heads up. I would have thrown on some hater shades.
Hater shades. Get some hater shades on. But yeah, I guess that's kind of what we all think there. I think we're all kind of in agreement. I think Mike and I both said 0 to 6 games, or if it's 0 games and maybe a fine just for conduct policy. I don't know, but Anything else, Mike, before we move on to the team? I think we kind of hit on. We talk about this a lot. I mean, it's been talked about in the media so much. But
I did remember what I was going to say. It actually was kind of a quandary. Do you think that this blew up so much in the media because it was out of season when it was happening and there wasn't a lot to talk about?
Oh, for sure. And he was a free. He was basically a free agent. You know, he had a no trade clause. So you remember that whole week. That whole week when he was on the market and they were trying to trade him, and he even said
they couldn't say too many nice things about him.
It
was weird how fast the media did a 180.
But even Deshaun said too, he's like, I feel like I was being rushed. I feel like I was being, and that's how that reminded me of like when LeBron was in free agency and everybody was waiting on like just watching every minute. You're refreshing your Twitter. You're like trying to find all the news. Where's he going? And so everything was great that week. You know, every team wanted him the Saints wanted him, this team wanted him, Atlanta wanted him, and then the Browns came in and said
the whole NFC South.
We'll guarantee him, you know,
right. And then the Browns said, well, here, they wanted their guy. They said, well, do whatever it takes to get him. And so, I mean, but now that camp started, I guess kind of, Jeremy, we'll start with you. Kind of, what are you looking forward to with the camp and just the team this year, your overall outlook?
So obviously, I mean, the running game, you gotta get those boys ready. They're gonna get a heavy load, I feel like, in the first however many games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I mean, we've got an experienced backup quarterback who's played a lot in the league. You know what I mean? So obviously, you're probably going to shrink the playbook a little bit, safer throws, you know, pound the rock. That's kind of what I expect out of them the first couple weeks. I think the big question mark that I have going into this season, though, is what version of Amari Cooper are we going to get this year? You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, I thought about that because you look at what Cooper Kupp did last year.
Oh, dude.
Cooper Kupp was with Jared Goff, a lesser quarterback. And you look at Cooper Kupp only had 900-something yards and 3 touchdowns in 2020. And he comes out the next year with an elite quarterback. I'm not saying Amari Cooper's going to do all that. But you saw the impact, though. He went out with a better quarterback. Look what he did. So I was actually wondering that myself. Can Amari have the same kind of jump, even for 1 year? I know he's a veteran now, but you put him with a great quarterback like that, when he comes back, if he gets suspended at all.
And there's no argument that Deshaun is better than Dak.
Yeah, for sure. It's an upgrade. And so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for the look, let me just put it to you this way, all right? Mr. Butt Fumble has more playoff wins than Dak does.
Oh, man. Butt Fumble. I forgot about that.
Mark Sanchez. I mean, think about that. Mark Sanchez won a playoff game. Dak has 0 playoff wins.
Amazing.
Let's just put that in perspective.
It's amazing.
I'm not saying Dak's not a great quarterback. I'm just saying.
He shrinks in big moments.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't shown up in those moments.
No.
Mike, what are you looking forward to in camp and kind of the outlook of the team?
I'm looking forward to the steps that I think the offense kind of go off of what you were saying about Jacoby. I think as long as Jacoby, we're not asking him to play like 2020 Baker Mayfield. We're asking him to not play as bad as 2021 Baker Mayfield, right? That's all we need him to do. Not make mistakes with the ball, you know.
Be efficient.
All that. Be efficient. Game manager, right? Because last year there were like 3 to 4 games we lost by like 6 points or less. And Baker had an atrocious game, those games. So like we could have won the division. People forget like we were 2 games out of winning the division or something like gross like that. So
if they would have won that Packers game, they would have been in it. And they had a chance to win that game.
Yeah. Yeah, we could have won the division with a 9-8 record. Amazing. But with the thing I'm looking forward to most is Grant Delpit and JOK, and seeing the step that they'll take, especially JOK. I think he's gonna I think out of all the players on our team that are young, he has the most like superstar potential. Like not Pro Bowl, but like all pro almost potential. He's just so fast. There's not really a linebacker like him. He can tackle, he can shed blocks just with his like sheer speed. He can blitz. You know, he's been working on his hands to try and work on like actually getting some turnovers as a Mike. So I'm really excited to see the step that JOK takes and what Grant Delpit takes in his because we saw flashes of what Grant Delpit was at LSU last year. And his technically it was his second year, but it was his first year he actually played because he was injured his whole first year. So I'm excited to see what Grant Delpit takes because he is going to be JJ3's replacement. Like I think after JJ3's contract is up, we're going to let him walk as long as Grant Delpit is up to take the starting safety position away from him. So yeah, no, I'm excited for both of those guys, especially. And obviously, I'm excited to see what Deshaun gets, but there's less mystery in that. You know, we kind of already know what Deshaun Watson is. You know, at his height, he's a top 5 quarterback. You know, so like,
can I add a tidbit as well?
Yes, absolutely.
And by the way, I got the schedule up on the screen now, so we can kind of look at this and see any games you want to.
Hey, can you pull up the roster real quick?
Yeah, hold on. You said pull up the roster?
Yeah. Go down to the special teams.
Special teams.
Talking talking Jakeem Grant.
Special teams is where it's at.
I don't know if I could go to special teams.
And in the one, and Mike will get. Joseph, you might get this too. You know why I love the special teams?
Why?
Because they definitely special. You remember that customer, Mike?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely special.
Definitely.
Oh gosh, I remember that. I heard about that. Well, Mike, you got to tell the story now, so people know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, so we had a customer come in. He had mink on. He had his stunner shit or his hater blockers on, and he says hello to one of our salesmen at the time. And he goes, "Hey man, you the finance manager?" And he's like, "Nah, but we got regular finance and special finance." He goes, "Which one are you looking for?" And he takes his glasses down and he goes, "Bruh, we definitely special."
At least he knew what was up.
Straight face. This is the funniest guy I've ever seen at the dealership. Had me dying laughing.
You see a lot of this. It's crazy. The people you come across in that industry, just the characters, just the wildness. It's
the greatest, man. You never know what you're gonna get in any.
Yeah, you never know. It's
the one thing I miss.
One day you get a normal person, like a lovely couple. And
what are you doing now, Mike?
I'm opening a bar, bro. Bar.
You're running a bar?
Yeah, bro.
You know you got to sell it, not drink it, to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Selling drinks is less stressful.
I got you.
People are a lot happier when they leave the bar.
Well, I'll have to come pay you to visit whenever it opens.
Hell yeah.
All right, sure. You got the roster up or what, Joseph?
No, because the roster's too big. I'd have to scroll out and. What do you want to see on the roster?
The kicker.
Cade York.
The kid we drafted. So that's who you're looking forward to?
Highest drafted kicker.
For the love of God, we don't need him to be Adam Vinatieri. We don't need him to be Justin Tucker. We just need a Phil Dawson caliber kicker back in Cleveland for a change. It feels like it has been, please. Like people always talk about the quarterback carousel in Cleveland. Since Phil Dawson left, we've had a kicker carousel.
I feel like everybody's gone through the kicker carousel ever since they moved it back. What was that? Like 5 years ago? Remember they moved back to PATs?
Yeah.
Kicking has gone just complete drizzling shits. I remember growing up, it was like automatic. Now it's just like it's hit and miss. Even field goals, you're just kind of like, dang, hope this guy makes it. It's just like
it's like a 35-yarder back, 20 years ago, or like 10 years ago, a 35-yarder, you're like, all right, it's a chip shot. You know what I mean? And it's like they didn't narrow the goalpost. They didn't, change anything. The only thing they changed was the extra point where you kick it from. But it's like, I don't know if like something with the ball has changed or like it's just there's more pressure on kickers now than there's ever been. I don't know. I just feel like the caliber of kicking is
Gone down.
yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
other than like your Justin Tuckers, your you're just saying. I know he's a Raven, and we're talking about Brown stuff, but like the dude might be the GOAT, like of all time.
Oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing because that's who I've watched most of my lifetime is Tucker. Like he's broken the Browns fans' hearts many times, and so
yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal, but I don't know.
But anyway,
maybe,
I'm excited to see what York does.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember his name. I knew we had drafted a kicker and got rid of is McLaughlin still on the roster?
No, we have no kickers. We have no kickers besides Cade York now.
Thank you, God.
Who's
so
our
it's
new
Cade
punter?
York or die.
Corey, he's from the Packers. What was his name? Corey Bacquez? Bad.
That's another thing. I thought we had punter down with Scottish Hammer, but I guess not. So
yeah, I know that was a little depressing because my cousin is engaged to him.
Oh no,
the Scottish Hammer.
Is he picked up anywhere?
I don't think so. Not yet. What are you doing, little Luca? I'm on the podcast. Yeah. You can't be chiming in like that.
Yeah, he wants a new punter too, but
we signed one for 3 years, so
hopefully he's the guy.
Oh, I mean, he's played well. He played well with the Packers. We just decided to pay him more than what punters usually get.
Hopefully, we got the special teams down. We don't go. We got Grant. We got the best punt returner last year. And kick returner.
I mean, I got to think there's been 4 or 5 games in the last 2 years we've lost because of
special teams.
Special teams.
I mean, that Raiders game that could have taken us to the playoffs if Chase McLaughlin would have kicked that field goal, would have tied it up. And let's not forget that Nick Mullins was the quarterback.
Played well that game.
Dude, Nick played well. Really well. I was at the game.
Yeah. You were at that game?
At the game. I was at that game. The whole time I'm there. It's freezing cold, by the way.
Yeah, I was just saying it was inclement weather too.
It was freaking freezing. Mm-hmm. The whole time I'm there, they played the dumbed down playbook, which you do when you've got your third string quarterback in. But the dude was putting the ball where it needed to be, when it needed to be there, the whole game on like all the throws. Never had a throw that was like, you know what I mean? Like, what's this guy doing?
Right.
The whole time, like the whole second half, I was like, open up the playbook a little bit. Just add in a few more passing plays. Add in a scheme. To something. Just give us a little something extra because he was playing really well. And I feel like we dumbed it down too much where, you know what I mean? That they were like, okay, they're going to throw slants and quick outs and, we're going to, run man-to-man or, a bump zone scheme, and just sit on this, and then it tied up the running game on us too.
Yeah, I thought we had that game in the bag too, especially towards the end. There.
Yeah, when Greedy got that interception.
I was like, all right, let's go. And then it's like, nope, here we go. Same old Browns. But
same Browns.
I kind of want to hit on, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically, he gets 6 games, right? So let me zoom in a little bit more.
His first game back would be against the Ravens.
The Ravens.
At home. Away. It's an away game.
Yeah, that's an away game. October 23rd. Yeah. And so that means without him, with Brissett, it would be the Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, Chargers, Patriots. I guess kind of, Mike, what do you think they can do there with those 6 games, let's say, with Brissett under center?
Depending on I'd say best case scenario is 4-2, probably.
What 2 games would you say the most or
most difficult? I'd still say, because I don't think the Steelers are going to be a threat because they really need to figure out what they're doing at the quarterback position, and I don't even know if they know what they're doing.
I think
probably
the Chargers
and the Pats.
One.
Chargers and the Pats. But another thing is, depending on how much better their run defense is, because the Chargers had the worst run defense last year. Mm-hmm. So if their run defense, adding Khalil Mack, adding J.C. Jackson, adding to all the defense, if that's still not like up to snuff, then I mean, maybe 5-1, or maybe we drop a game to one of those easy teams. I mean, away games are still hard no matter what. I really hope we beat the Panthers, though. I really don't want to go.
That's the game people want to see the most, obviously,
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. But
I just don't want to go weak if we lose opening day to the Baker Mayfield.
I think the two games. I actually think the Pittsburgh game, just because Pittsburgh defensively is always stout. They're always. I mean, you got the defending. You got what's his name, T.J. Watt, the defensive player of the year over there, and just that's their culture. There is defense. I think that, and then obviously the Chargers, because Herbert is, I think, a top 8 quarterback in my opinion. So
I agree with that.
The Patriots, I thought that, but the more I looked into the Patriots, and I know the Patriots well because I have family in New England and I follow all the teams, and just they lost J.C. Jackson, they lost all their linebackers, they lost the pass rusher, and then you look offensively. McDaniels is gone, and then there was a big story last week. They don't even have a named coordinators. They got what's his name, who was just fired from the Lions, Matt Patricia. That's their offensive coordinator, defensive coach, and they got, I think, Bill O'Brien's back there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. So they got 2 defensive coaches, but he didn't name actual coordinators. Belichick did, which has never been seen. And then when you look at offensively, I think Mac Jones is solid. I don't think he's, we'll see what he is now after his rookie year, but I don't know. I don't think the Patriots game is as big. I think maybe it's just it's the Belichick team. People, you give it respect, obviously. You never take it lightly, but I think the Thursday night game against the Steelers, and it's Thursday night game, prime time, and then obviously the Chargers game. That's the 2 I'm looking at. But even week 1, I mean, it's week 1. You never know. I mean, if Baker plays, let's say Baker plays in that game. Jeremy, how do you think Baker would play against the Browns?
I got a barking dog and a crying baby over here, so I'm going to make this brief.
Oh, okay.
Little man. My wifey's taking a nap, so I'm
oh, man. It's going down over there at the Lynch's house.
The dad life is real. And I don't know if he's farting or having a blowout on me here, but we're going to find out soon, so stand by. So repeat the question.
No.
Oh.
Hold on. We'll bring him back. We'll see if he comes back up. But okay. You good now?
Yeah, okay. He's so mad.
Look at him. Daddy duties now.
He's like, punk ass daddy, change my diaper.
All right, so they're talking about the Browns. Change my diaper.
Yeah, right?
No, I guess if Baker plays week 1, what do you think of that week 1 game? How do you think Baker what do you see in that game?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers had a flag and he tries to plant it on our 50-yard line.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like he did,
What if Myles Garrett plants a flag?
So like he did to the Buckeyes when he was at Oklahoma. I don't know. I feel like he's got a lot of respect for the fans of Cleveland. I feel like the breakdown there was kind of with the upper management and the trust from the coaching staff and upper management, things like that. I feel like there's a lot that went unsaid.
Right.
I mean, it's the Panthers.
Yeah, they're not that great.
I mean, we're just going to run the ball down their throat all day. Nicky Chubb, Big Daddy Hunt, let the dogs eat. And
Myles Garrett might have 3-4 sacks.
Easy.
How many interceptions?
He might hit Baker with his helmet. You don't know. Stand by.
Stand by. How many interceptions in the fourth quarter?
In the fourth quarter itself?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Baker even going to be playing in the fourth quarter?
That's a great question. So you think it's going to be a blowout?
If I had to guess, it would be like 42 to 10.
All right. I like that, obviously.
2 pick sixes.
Possibly. I hope they run a lot of deep posts because Baker tends to throw those high and behind.
Yeah, or throw the fade route to the corner to hitting the beer guy. But,
all right, I got to go check this dude's diaper.
All right,
thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate you coming.
Absolutely, brother. Good talking.
Thanks. That's Jerry's and daddy duty over there.
Yeah, full dad mode in swing.
Oh man.
I saw something from camp that I wanted to bring up that seemed really, really cool. And Tony Rizzo, I know he's out there just like jumping for joy because he asks this question almost every single Sunday. There was a practice play in which they were running deuce. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were on the field at the same time. Tony Rizzo can die happy now.
Oh man, I know people have been saying that for years. Like playing together. And I'm like, okay, slow down.
It's good for a play or two, guys, but it's not like it shouldn't be the whole offense.
No, but I do want to see what they could do because when you have a mobile quarterback like Watson now, you put them both back there behind him and you run that RPO, and you got an athletic tight end like Njoku that could slip out to the five yards. You got a lot of speedy guys.
So many.
I mean, some of the options they could run with Watson at the two backs, and you got a guy like Njoku. You can run that RPO action. If you look at Watson in Houston, he ran a lot of that RPO action. I mean, he had Darren Fells when he left Cleveland, went to Houston, had a pretty productive time with Watson because that's the kind of the system they ran. He was so good at spreading the ball around, but getting the ball out quick. But it's the running ability, the threat, getting out of the pocket. I think he's, in my opinion, you look at his tape, especially in 2020. I don't know if there's maybe him and Mahomes and Allen, maybe Rodgers as well. They're the best quarterbacks in the league at extending plays, taking something out of nothing and just because their ability to use their legs.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm so excited for it. I just want to see an RPO be ran correctly. I'll never forget the Baker Mayfield RPOs are the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, not really an RPO.
No, not really.
Just put three tight ends out there. I'll just run it down your throat, and we're going to give you so many passes a game. You get 25 passes a game. That's it.
Yeah, do what
Pretty
you want.
much. Yeah. But I guess kind of what player or players are you looking forward to seeing in camp? I'm looking forward to when he gets out there, David Bell. I want to see what David Bell looks like. I want to see on offense. I'm looking forward to David Bell and Peoples-Jones. I know last year Peoples-Jones was like the MVP of camp, so I want to see if he has that momentum again this year.
Right.
And then defensively, Grant. I'm actually looking forward to see what Perrion Winfrey looks like. I want to see if he looks like a force up front.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to make because they're moving him to 3 tech because that's where his talents are best. That he kind of showed at the Senior Bowl. He just goes up through the middle and wins. And the Browns love their pass rush. They love their pressures. So I'm excited to see what Perrion Winfrey does for sure. The only rookie I'm not really too keen on is Martin Emerson. Like I know,
I actually am.
Maybe he'll be great. I
want to see I just want to see how they use him.
Yeah. That's what
he's a great versatility tool. I like his size and potential.
Right. But yeah, I'd say Alex Wright too, just because I want to see if because if he didn't go to UAB, he probably would have been a higher pick. Probably. But because his talents and his numbers kind of showed, but the reason why he was dropped to 78 where we drafted him was because he went to UAB. His combine wasn't bad. He had good combine numbers for a DN, but the UAB is UAB.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know who he was until I saw him in some of the mocks and stuff. But I don't watch UAB, but no disrespect, but
I don't even know if we're on TV, dude.
I don't know either. Yeah, when they showed his highlights, there wasn't many highlights either. I tried to go online to find his highlights, and there's just not much. Like there's just not a whole lot. But his raw ability though looks really good. I think that's what they bet on is, taking a chance that you're developing as a coaching staff to see what you can do with this guy. But I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to in camp and overall is just I want to see when they scrimmage, when they do the team scrimmaging drill periods, especially when they put pads on, what does the offense really look like now? I mean, they're not going to show everything, but I do think it's going to be a lot different than what we've seen in the past, obviously, 4 years because they got a new quarterback, obviously. I just think I'm curious to see what it looks like when Deshaun's out there. That's what the real offense is going to be because he is going to play this year, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how much more open it is. And then also I'm going to see when they put Brissett in there to take the reps, And let's say by the fourth practice or fifth practice, we know what this. Let's say he suspended 4 games, so we know he's going to be out. So I want to see when they put Brissett in there with the ones, what's the contrast? Like, what are the similar plays?
Right.
What's kind of different? Probably a little more handicapped than Deshaun because it's a different type of quarterback.
Right.
So that's what I'm curious to see what the offensive system looks like. So I know the defense, I know what I expect to see. I think Joe Woods has kind of established what he runs, and I like what he does. And so, but to me, it's all about what is this offensive system going to look like? What's the differences and what's the balance between him and Brissett?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too. I think it even might be a little bit of a strength because when Deshaun comes back, like, the film that they studied was like, under Brissett, and it's like, okay, well, they run this, this, and this, but the plays they're going to be running under Deshaun are going to be tweaked or at least almost incredibly different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited for that. I think Cooper's going to be just fine. Like what they wanted was a true one receiver that could get you 1,000 yards that is available. And Amari Cooper, even when he's hurt, he goes out and plays.
I think Amari Cooper, like I brought it, I'm not saying he's going to do what Cooper Kupp did.
No,
but I think
he'll take a jump.
But I think he's going to take a bigger jump than people think, because I just think the Watson Cooper connection, I think, it's like with Stafford and Kupp. It just clicked. Like Cooper Kupp's a low maintenance guy. He does his job. He gets open, and look what happened. You put him with a great quarterback. And I think you put Amari Cooper coming off of last year, only 800 yards, but you put him with a new quarterback in a new environment, a new system, with a great quarterback, rather. I just think you're going to see a pretty big jump. I think this guy, now it depends how many games Watson plays. Even without it, though, he's the number one option. So Brissett's going to be looking his way if Brissett plays. You can trust Amari Cooper more than anybody. So I think this guy can get, you say 1,000, I think he can get 1,200 yards, I think. And
I think that's fair.
1,200 yards. I think he can get a lot of touchdowns, maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good for a great year, really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've always been high on Amari Cooper. I always liked Amari Cooper a lot, and that little slight by Jerry Jones he was trying to do. Like, did you hear about that? Like, he was on his the press talk or whatever, and he was trying to say, well, you got to be available, you got to want to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, Amari Cooper is like the most sit down and work wide receiver that's out in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't afford to pay him and pay Michael Gallup and pay
CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee Lamb might be better, although I think it's closer than people think. But
I think I'm not high on CeeDee Lamb. I think he's another Hollywood Brown, honestly. Like
he's more skilled than Hollywood Brown, I think. He does a lot more. But I get what you're saying. But I actually like CeeDee Lamb. I think he'll be pretty good. But he had a great year last year.
Right.
I just think, I don't know. Dallas I just think it's kind of running its course. I mean, Zeke doesn't really look the same.
No.
He had a down year last year. I don't know
what's
their
own fault for paying a running back all that money. I mean, I love Nick Chubb. He's my favorite offensive player. I got his jersey, but like, I have no, and the Browns don't either, obviously, because they drafted another running back with Kareem Hunt turning up on 27 years of age.
Well,
running backs.
Chubb is a lot better than Zeke.
Oh, yeah, easily. And I think Nick Chubb will have a longer career, but at the end of the day, a long career for running back is like 28, 29 years of age. Like if you're still breaking 800 yards and you're 29, like congratulations, you're a great running back. Like there's not a lot of Frank Gores out there anymore who can break 1,000 yards on the Jets at 33. Like that's hard,
I like what I see. I like how they're handling him, though. Bringing in the running back, splitting the carries like that with Kareem.
It's smart.
Both of their career. But also, the dude obviously takes care of himself really well. I mean, you saw the other day he squatted with 600-plus pounds.
Nick Chubb averages at least 2 weight room videos going viral a year. That's the stat no one talks about.
That dude, him and Saquon Barkley, when they squat, it's like everybody looks because this is something incredible. Like it's just like that dude is insane.
Saquon, I've never been high on Saquon, but then again, he's been on the Giants, so maybe I shouldn't hate. But
Well, he's had some injuries, but when he plays, though, he's a hell of a player. But
right,
no, I just think I like the way they're handling Nick Chubb. I like the way they're extending his career. I think a lot of people are like, the big talk around here is you handing the ball more. I'm like, yeah, but I think now that we have the right quarterback,
we don't have to.
You don't have to. You can balance it out. You don't have to just, drill this guy every week. 1 week it's going to be Kareem's week. One week it's going to be his week. Well, hell, 1 week it might be. They might put Demetric Felton out there and use him all around the field. He might get hot. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name. You never know. But I think I like the way they're handling him. I like the way they're extending his career. I think it's a smart thing to do because you want to keep him around as long as you can. I think he's a Browns lifer. Nick Chubb is the Browns culture, really. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's how you want to embody your franchise, is like Nick Chubb.
Him, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Njoku, even to a sense. We paid all the right people.
Antonio.
Yeah, but Joel. Yeah.
There's somebody I know calls him Spaghetti-O, but
I hope Joel gets a chip before he goes and retires. He deserves it.
Yeah, he's been a pro's pro. I love Joel, but
Joel's a great dude.
And then now Deshaun Watson is his franchise too. I mean, he's the franchise quarterback. So
yeah, throw your fours up.
Yeah, throw your fours up.
The hype video.
Oh yeah, that got me fired up. Just looking at it, I was like, I can't. Sometimes I look, I'm like, I can't believe this guy's in a Browns uniform. This is crazy.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm glad I'm in this timeline.
Hey, you just looking at it like, damn, we're really here now. Like, man, we made it now.
Right,
we're here now. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking forward to camp. Any other news and sports you've heard about? You want to talk about, or
nothing I've heard about?
I haven't heard anything in the NBA front. Obviously, we've talked a lot about things that could happen.
It's so quiet.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I know there's Durant to the Celtics now, and then Kyrie's staying. He's in that now.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Lakers aren't doing anything, and I don't know. It's getting a little weird. Which when it gets weird, though, it means something's coming next month for sure.
Right.
But, I don't know. You see anything else there? I know we've thrown out a ton of scenarios about LeBron back to the Cavs, but I think he's coming back. It's just a matter of when.
Right. I mean, I agree with you there. Like I've said before, I'm still of the mind with the NBA. Like, there's just been so much hype around certain things happening, and then nothing has happened. Like Kyrie, Kevin. Now there's LeBron news. I'm just gonna sit back, watch, and enjoy, and just wait and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
See what actually happens, because now there's drama with Jaylen Brown. Even though they tried to trade him, Jaylen Brown's like, I still want to be a Celtic. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's getting a little wild out there. I'm not sure. You see Evan Mobley the other day? He was going up against Durant 1-on-1.
Right. Yeah, I hope he smoked him.
Well, Durant did his thing. Durant looked very angry, so he took his anger out on everybody. But I thought Mobley actually did pretty well. He got Durant a few times. He blocked him. He scored on him. His passing, though, is what I was impressed with. The more you watch that guy, he is a phenomenal passer. I mean, cross-court passes, throw little no-look dimes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, damn, the stuff they could do with this guy. It's going to be fun to watch how he grows and what they can do with him, especially him and Garland together.
Right.
That's going to be. I know Garland said that their goal is, he said, we're going to the conference finals next year. He didn't just say we want to. He said, we're doing it.
So, oh, yeah. I hope it's the truth.
I like his confidence. But, yeah, I mean, what's been going on in your world lately? Anything? Or
it was the missus's birthday on Monday, so celebrated that. That was fun.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she'll appreciate that. Book of the week is
we got this is a new thing now. What's your book of the week?
My book of the week. All right, let me grab it. Let me see if I can get it in here. Is Brandon Sanderson's The Well of Ascension. It is book 2 in the Mistborn trilogy.
Which one was last week again?
Last week, that was the Final Girl Support Group, I believe, by Grady Hendrix.
What was your review on that?
It was very, very good. I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay. 4 out of 5.
It's kind of a love letter to the slasher film tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Horror novel. It's kind of centers around like the trope of the final girl in like horror movies. Like if you watch Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, et cetera, et cetera. There's always that one girl at the end who survives. In Nightmare on Elm Street, it's Nancy. In Halloween, Laurie Strode, and centers around this group of women who are now like middle aged, who have basically dealt with that, and now somebody is coming after them, the final girl support group, and it's about the main character Lynette trying to figure out how to save them. And it's really, really cool. It's got some twists. It really delves into a lot of the horror tropes and dark humor. It had it was good. It was really, really good. And this book, Brandon Sanderson, for any fantasy readers, I'm not a big into fantasy myself, but I've just started getting into it. And he's like the modern master of fantasy. Like everybody says he's the Stephen King of fantasy because all of his books are really, really good. And he writes like 6 of them a year. So I'm reading this here little trilogy. I've enjoyed it so far. Mistborn Era 1, because he continued it with another trilogy later on down the line. But definitely a good series to start into fantasy if you're not like generally a reader of the genre.
Nice.
Because I mean, who hasn't read like Tolkien and that stuff? He uses a lot of those kind of.
Right.
He's good at character building. He's good at world building, but you actually care about the characters. The characters aren't just like the perennial, like, oh, I'm the hero. I have to save the princess. I have to do this. I'm a force of good. Like, he does a good job.
What do? You just go to like the bookstore all the time and just kind of search around, or how do you?
Goodreads is a godsend. Okay. I use Goodreads all the time. You know about that app?
I've heard of it. I think once or twice. Yeah,
so it's basically a social media for book readers, and it's super useful. I can look at, there's even like a feature where like depending on what you've read, like it'll show like, oh, you might like these, or like people who have liked these books said that they also like these books. So that's super helpful. I also just watch some YouTube channels of booktubers that talk about, different series and whatnot, trying to get me into certain things. And the only reason I've started getting into fantasy a little bit is because the most popular booktubers are fantasy booktubers. They cover that genre. So I don't know why it's so popular right now, but started getting into it a little bit more. I'm still a horror nut though. Like,
what's your favorite book of all time?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
What's your favorite author?
My favorite author is H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
Now he wrote a couple of novellas, but he mainly wrote short stories. His most famous short story being Call of Cthulhu. My favorite of his is probably his novella At the Mountains of Madness. That's very, very good. He's a major inspiration for a lot of modern day horror writers. Like he invented like cosmic horror, like unknowable entities that, look at us like ants, like that kind of thing, like evil gods almost kind of thing. And he had a really weird phobia of fish. His stuff always came out of the ocean, but he was a major inspiration for Stephen King. I'd say he's my favorite author. My favorite book though, since he never wrote a novel, is probably It by Stephen King. I think he does a great job of like, I'm a sucker for like coming of age stories, and Stephen King does a really good job at like connecting you back to your childhood and like giving that feeling through his characters, and also how he builds up like It, the monster, Pennywise, whatever you want to call him, of this like force of nature that's been around since history began, that just happens to be terrorizing this town. And it's a really, really good book. It's a long ass book. It's like well over some pages. And I'm actually, after I'm done with this, I'm going to read The Stand because it's been sitting on my shelf for forever, and I just haven't had the gumption to read it because it's 1,400 pages long. But
I want to read The Art of War again.
By Sun Tzu.
Oh yeah, I want to read it again.
I read me some history sometimes. I'm more of that
book though. That's like The Art of War. It really is The Art of War. It's like life. I mean, it is like tools and just. Man, that's a masterful book. To me, that's a masterpiece. And it's everybody talks about that book. But Yeah, I appreciate it. So that's your book of the week, and next time we'll come out, we'll have you give you a review of that book you're reading now. So yeah, anything else to say? I think we hit on it all. Really, we had a surprise appearance, and
Yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, from the daycare center out there at the Lynch's house. You know, he's a dad now, and yeah, so but appreciate you coming on again as always. And,
Always appreciate you
great
having me.
insight. And yeah, you can find Mike where on Facebook. Where can we find
Twitter.
you?
I'm on Twitter. I don't know my handle off the top of my head, but I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm not really on Instagram myself. I'm not good looking enough for that. But yeah, on Twitter, Facebook, easiest ways to get a hold of me. Happy to talk, reach out, or if you need a good book recommendation, I'll be more than happy to oblige.
Oh yeah, Mike and I love to just talk to people and get to know you guys and chat, whatever, you know. And most importantly, if you guys got anything about our topic earlier today, our main topic.
Yeah, if you have any questions, absolutely.
Yeah, any questions, feel free to hit any of us up. And, you know, like I said, that's just from our perspectives and our experience, and just hopefully helped you guys out a lot. And that's what we're here for. So yeah, appreciate you again, Mike, and we'll see you in the next one, man.
See you in the next one. Later.
All right, I want to thank Mike for coming on today. I want to thank my man Jeremy for coming on, and congratulations to you and Dushka on your new son, Luca. Coming to meet him in person. And yeah, I appreciate both of you guys coming on today. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today, and like always, and hope you guys enjoyed the conversations and the show. And yeah, feel free to leave comments below. Like I said there at the end, you know, hit me up, hit Mike up. You got questions, or go to the Anxiety Guy. You can hit him up online too, everywhere, and he'll get back to you. And you know, whatever you're going through, your journey with anxiety, whatever, just know you're not alone. You know, there's people like me out there that have been there, and you don't have to hide or be shy or be quiet. And you know, trust me, I've been there. I could see it for a long time. But when I learned to be open and have dialogue with such people that have been where I've been, it really starts to unlock your world and your mind, and you start to realize what you're really capable of, and you can truly be who you desire, and you can truly be free. And so that's all I got for you guys today. Again, love all you guys. Like, subscribe, share, and yeah, that's all I got today, guys. Next one.